Joining us today is Laurel Mintz. She's the general partner at Fabric VC and a true force in the venture capital and business world. She's got 16 years of experience and a portfolio including Facebook, Verizon, and Geico. Laurel's powerhouse networks make her a magnet for high impact deals. She's the ultimate blend of brains, heart, and hustle. Probably lots of hustle, right, Laurel?
Definitely.
What is your biggest hustle right now?
Well, the biggest hustle is getting the fund closed. So it's really exciting. We're like halfway through and we're rolling raise, rolling deploy. So we already have about 15 portfolio companies. It's pretty exciting.
That's very good. So everybody has the same question for venture capitalist. When you first hear about a company, what are you hoping to hear? And I guess, what do you usually hear?
Yeah, for me, it's a gut check. So I am an operator. I've been running an agency for a very long time. And so I'm pretty good at spotting BS, first of all, as I know you are. And equally as good, I think, at spotting deals and founders that I really think can go all the way. So for me, the first thing I'm looking for is, to your point, hustle, grit in a founder, because inevitably over the lifespan of a VC-backed company, there's going to be a lot of challenges along that path. So the first thing I look for is grit. Do I like them as a human and a person? Because I think culture is really important. How does their team match up to that? And then, of course, is the concept or product something I think that I can add value to?
So, what are the companies who are not doing well in their investment strategy missing? Because I feel like a lot of VCs, they want that, they're looking for that founder, that kind of magical founder. What are the red flags that maybe they don't see that you've seen? Where's the red flag?
Sometimes you see a super technical founder that doesn't understand the value of something like marketing or PR, right? And just because you have a great product or service doesn't mean the world's going to learn about it. So that's why we need people like you, Tracy. Um, so that's certainly a piece of it. The other piece of it is, these founders sometimes have raised a lot of money or they've had a lot of bravado behind what they've built. And the ego that comes along with that sometimes can actually really harm their trajectory and their growth. I had one company in particular. It's a really funny story. It was a very early company and I was excited about them. And the founder, it was their first time ever raising capital. And she was like, I was like, I'd like to have a conversation. And she was like, well, we're planning on closing our round out in 2 weeks. So unless you're ready to write a check now. And I was like, and we're done here. Like it was just the attitude and the like, it was just kind of yucky. And I don't want to get in bed with those kinds of people.
Well, I mean, arrogance has always been a part of the investment community, and certainly venture capitalists have had to have some, have that bravado. Is that changing, do you think?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, that's who we invest in, because again, culture is really important to us. I think that the landscape has changed so much in the last few years because there's not been a lot of venture funds, frankly, that have been deploying capital. There was a lot of dumb money thrown at dumb valuations in the last couple of years, and now a lot of those funds are either seeing that their portfolio has dropped significantly in value. And because of that, they don't have anything to distribute to their LPs. And because of that, they also don't have any more to deploy into the venture ecosystem. So I do think that there's a constrained capital feeling right now. And that's another reason we feel very lucky to be in a position that we're in to be deploying capital to some of these really deserving and fantastic founders.
What is what do you think 2025 is going to be for, I mean, venture capital? I think it's been really, really tough. As you know, in Los Angeles, there's been a lot of startups. We do a lot of stuff in healthcare technologies and other technologies, and it takes a lot of money, right? When you're
Yeah.
incorporating AI. What's going to happen in our area?
I think we have to be super respectful of those that have lost so much. I mean, you were in the Palisades, right? You know exactly what happened there and felt that very significantly. I think we need to be really
Just so you
respectful.
know, I lost my house.
No, you did. I didn't want to, voice that unless you were willing to share that on
Well, everybody, I mean, so many people have. It's a very popular thing to do.
it's very well, at least you're in the majority, right? Of that community. I'm so, so sorry to hear that. But I think because of
Thanks.
that, we need to take a pause in the investment community in LA and give people some space and grace to rebuild. I do think that's changing the landscape for my fundraise because obviously I'm in LA as well. I was lucky to not be as impacted, but for those investors or for those prospective investors, right? They're not writing checks right now. So we have to be in other ecosystems, which we already were. But the other side of it is we still have to be bullish on investing and supporting these other diverse founders because they're in the LA ecosystem as well. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's a perfect example of the double-edged sword. We hosted an event at Yamashiro, and the original tagline was, "Are you ready to party?" And I said, "That's definitely not the voice right now. How about who needs a drink?" Right? And I think that's kind of the energy that we have to go into this with. Like, be respectful. Know that we will rebuild, and that does affect how it impacts the venture ecosystem.
Can you estimate when, I mean, is it going to take a year or 2 years like it's going to take for us to rebuild? Or do you see things loosening up maybe towards the end of the year? It seems like it could be a long haul.
There's no way. It's too early to tell right now between insurance companies and such. The good news is that people who have committed and who have said they value what we're building are still coming in and still committing. And I think that it's you still have to diversify your investment approach. So your home as an investment is a different category
Right.
than some of your other investments. So I'm hoping it won't have such a dire impact, but I think we're anticipating at least a 30% drop off, if not more, in the LA focused LPs. But like I said earlier, we have ecosystems built all over the country and the world. So we'll just lean into those for this round, and we're going to be raising another big fund soon. So we'll come back to the LA market then.
Well, do you want to do a little shout out? Tell us about some of the companies that you're invested in or what's getting you excited every day.
I mean, life is getting me excited every day. I think that I never really understood that this experience was going to be not just the excitement around investing in these companies, but the education piece. So what I've been so proud of is that 70% of our current investor base are women and women and men of color, which in the investment world is really unheard of. And so I think that that is a testament to our belief in educating and empowering those who maybe have never been invited to this table. So I want to start there. Um,
Impressive. Impressive, by the way. Very impressive.
it's not easy, right? Like it takes a lot more conversations to educate someone on a new asset class than it does to go to someone who's been investing in it for a decade plus. And again, that's really part of our core mission. But we have so many exciting companies in the healthcare, fertility space, companies like Womaness that I know you're familiar with. Let's see, Cadence out of New York, which is a really exciting consumer tech company. We have a company in the legal tech space called Alphalit. That's super cool. We have a company called Active Armor that is 3D printed custom casting at hospital systems. I mean, our portfolio really is across the board, from consumer to deep, deep tech.
And we can go to your website and check out some of these companies, right?
Fabricvc.com.
We have done a lot of work for venture capitalists, probably more private equity and investment groups when they're out raising money, like you're always doing, as well as creating awareness for the portfolio companies, getting them in, trade press and what have you. And you're so brilliant at that with your former background in marketing. How are you kind of advising them about marketing, social media, and what it can do for them? Do you have, like 3 tips that these companies you want to see them doing or, taking big steps in?
We actually go deeper than that, Tracy, and we have a second layer of diligence that's marketing focused before we'll write a check. So we look at these companies, we pick like 30 we like, we narrow those down to about 10. Those 10 go through all of the traditional founder financial diligence that any firm would take them through. And then our secret sauce, to your point, is the marketing component. So I have this idea in the shower where you have all your best ideas, where I thought if we're going
Right.
to differentiate, right? If we're going to differentiate, how can we do this really impactfully for the founders and to not just pick winners, but really make winners? And so the conclusion that I came to was that we needed to use the marketing expertise even in the diligence process and then post check. So what that looks like is after they've gone through all that traditional diligence, they run through a marketing diligence process, and they get this really detailed report and a score attached to it. And based on that score, we can tell if they're going to be a fit for us on the fund side and on the marketing side. Now, just because they have a low score doesn't mean we won't invest in them, but the companies that we think we can add real value to, we write a cash check to, and then we match with sweat equity on the marketing side so that we can control the narrative of success for these brands. And that is really, truly adding value to these founders.
Can you be specific about what you want to see from how they're marketing? Are there some things that there's three things they've got to do, or if they're missing this component, what is it?
It's a hard question to answer because every brand and every category is so different. But let's just talk about branding from the first part of the conversation, right? It's that first impression moment. If the branding isn't really tight, again, it's something we can come in and fix when we write a check and if we come in with sweat equity. But most of the companies that we see, one of the first things we look for is how strong is the brand in market and what do the competitors look like in that space from a brand messaging perspective. So do you have your messaging, positioning, targeting really dialed in? Like, do you know who you're selling or pitching your product or service to? Because again, like you could have a great product or service, but if you don't know who you're selling it to or the messaging, I mean, you know this more than most, is off, you're never going to hit your sales target. So, or your revenue target. So that's one thing for sure.
That's kind of interesting. How frequently now are you using AI to source and check the materials that you get?
Yeah, the diligence process that we use an outsourced diligence team, and they've actually built a system with AI that aggregates from their data room 334, I think, points of data, including brand message, all of those pieces. And they give us a traditional diligence score as well as then we do the secondary marketing diligence score. But AI is integrated into everything. I think it's so funny that it's such a sexy, hot conversation right now because what I keep telling people are two things. One, we've had AI for a long, long time.
Right.
We're just talking about it now. It's like really not that differentiated. And two, when people pitch me AI, I'm like, do you really have AI or just have a little talking monkey in a corner putting data into a spreadsheet? Like
Yeah.
sometimes they're just pitching smoke and mirrors. And the other piece of it is sometimes you don't really need to build what you say you think you're going to build. You just need to buy it and layer onto a GPT model. So like, don't
Right.
waste your time and my money building something you don't need to build. I'm pretty bullish on the AI conversation.
Yeah, me too. So I'm always so surprised when somebody isn't. I'm confused. Um, so you haven't had any exits yet, right? So we really can't go to exits.
No, we haven't, but I will say of the 15 portfolio companies that we have invested in, three have already raised or are raising their Series A. So we have some pretty exciting markups that prove the model is working. And really, that's what we lead with is alpha returns. All of the other stuff is fantastic. The marketing piece, the fact that all of our founders are diverse, like those are really fantastic. But it has to make dollars and cents, right?
Yeah, if they're getting the A round outside of you, you've set them up well.
Exactly.
Want to tell us who those three companies are so we can cheer them on?
Well, a couple of them are in stealth on the raise, so I
Oh,
can't
okay.
really say. But Cadence is one of the ones that has just closed their A round. I'm looking at my deals right now. Onto Health, which was formerly Mate Fertility, has just closed a big round, so that's really exciting, and they're announcing that soon. So you heard it here first. And I
You
think
said
they're
mate fertility?
yeah, it was called Mate Fertility. It's just been acquired and rebranded as Onto Health. So it's not just fertility, it's a whole longevity practice now as well.
Oh, okay. You're always so optimistic. I love having a drink with you at the Hideaway in Beverly Hills because you're always filled with optimism. What are you most optimistic about today?
I am optimistic that people who understand what we're building are showing up. I think that the beginning of the year was rough for many, many reasons, and everyone's concerned about all of the anti-DEI initiatives. I actually think it's really positive for us because you're either on board with us or you're not, right? Again, we lead with returns, with alpha returns, and
Right.
that other piece is also amazing. But I actually think it's my time is being used more wisely, and I'm very excited about that because you're either with us or you're not, right? And if you're not, then we're not going to talk.
Laurel, I can't thank you enough. I've learned something more about your business and I thought I understood it better, but I really appreciate this time and wish you and Fabric VC a lot of luck in 2025. Things are going to get better. They're already pretty good and they're just going to get better.
Thank you so much. Well, it's better because we have folks like you who step up and support us and shout what we're doing from the rooftops. So thank you so much, Tracy, for having me on the show.
Oh, thank you. Take care.